Hello, folks. Welcome to Sammy Speaks. Today, I am going to talk to you about the journey of self healing of a fellow female named Yashi Singh. So, this episode is going to be a little serious, it's going to be deep, and I might say that I might give a trigger warning as well because it involves talking about sexual abuse and disputes within the family. So go ahead, listen to Yashi's story, and I hope it inspires you as much as it has inspired me. Okay, hi Yashi.
Hello, hi Sameer.
See, I can't do justice to your introduction. That is why I would like you to introduce yourself.
Okay, so hello everyone. I am Yashi Singh, and I'm a fourth year law student, and I think I'm running an NGO right now, and the NGO's name is Emerging Yuvas Pune. So we are primarily working for two objectives, which is mental health and drug de-addiction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the brief introduction about you. That's very nice. So, Yashi, the story behind you starting this Emerging Yuvas Pune is very intriguing. I've heard it, so I've read it, so I know it's very intriguing. So, I would like you to give us some snippets of the story, like
Yeah.
what happened to you and how you dealt with everything, how you overcame everything, and then how
Yeah.
you're now doing the same, you're helping others do the same. So can you just talk a little about it?
Yeah, of course. So I think there is a whole lot story about how I planned to start this NGO. So I remember that my voyage of self-healing started in 2018.
Okay.
So, I was someone who was an addict to almost every pattern of my life. Like, as a child, I was this timid schoolgirl sitting in a sort of dilapidated chair with a friend who had autism.
Okay.
Not that I cannot sit with him, but as a 8-year-old child, it's, not a smoothie for you to grasp such biggies.
Yes.
So, this very scene got imprinted as an emotion which the body further took it as the ultimate reality.
Okay.
And as we know somehow that, that a body doesn't understand the subtle difference between your thought and the experience. So it just took it as a ultimate reality.
Okay.
Now, I used to question myself that why such experiences have such intense emotions. And I think I did because I had a very insecure childhood, like most of us had. I have been the witness of physical violence in my family. I myself went through sexual abuse, so there was hardly any time for love. So the fact that I didn't know the idea of love, the only thing I knew was the quest to experience. And somehow my body was, conditioned to clasp the toxic patterns of behavior. And that's where there was a conspicuous image of me always limping back to that, dilapidated chair, as I told you before, which was wrapped in silence and, which was constantly anatomizing and cutting my body into slices. And now in my teens, I was someone who was a defiant against anything which was put up by my parents. So I think I used to blame them for everything, and that was happening in my life, like not being an expertise in knowing how the clock works. So I wasn't knowing how to see the clock until I was in class 11th. And maybe lacing my shoes was like a wangle thing to me, and like how to make those two balloons. So it was all like a strange thing to me, and for that I used to blame my parents, that they didn't give me that time, because they were half of the time they were involved in themselves, solving their issues. So it was true that my basic concepts of life and education got sidetracked due to my parents' struggle to maintain their relationship till I was I think in 7th grade. So now 4 years back, when I went to Pune for my studies,
Hmm.
The first thing, as any girl who is at 20s,
Hmm.
so, finding love and everything. So,
Hmm.
I met this nice slim guy,
Okay.
having like a side-swept fringe, which perfectly, suited his jawline face.
Oh,
So
okay.
the first time I knew that there is a concrete definition of love was to learn from him. Like, he supported me to evolve and grow. But somehow my body wasn't comfortable experiencing new patterns. Like, it was so
Yes.
much addicted to old toxic patterns that
I
this new
understand.
form of love was very strange to me. Like, a serene form of love was very strange to me.
Hmm.
And it was getting out of balance. Like, I wanted the damn chemicals, the adrenaline and, high cortisol and high beta waves and I don't know what not. So, no, I knew that my love for him was turning into dependency.
Yes.
Like, all I
That
was
is what I
doing to,
noticed. Yeah, that is,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you, but that is one thing I noticed. Even while you are talking about the journey, it shows that that relationship will become toxic and unhealthy if you become dependent on him.
Exactly. So what I was doing was that all I was doing to project my vulnerabilities on him. I was trying to look him as a prominent figure of
Hmm.
father because, who can protect me and, bear me. And to the extent he will be me itself. Like, he cannot be me, right?
Hmm.
So I was expecting something strange out of him. I was expecting something weird out of him. And because my relationship with my father was not very good, so I was
Hmm.
expecting him as a father-like figure. So
Yes.
1.5 year back, somehow due to our own circumstances, we started our own journey separately. So, mentioning that he was always loyal to me.
Okay.
So, and that's when I was absolutely shattered. I became an hardcore drug addict. Like, I used to have like chemical drugs every day. Almost not every day, but yeah, almost 2 times a week, and then like a normal drug every day. And, I actually embedded myself in few different physical relations and self-harm, and everything went on a roll, like I think till to 2019. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I was on the edge, to fall somewhere from where I could have never come back. I swear, like, from where I would have never came back into very life, I think I'm experiencing right now. And that's
Okay.
when I started my, self-healing journey. Sameen, I think you need to know that, everyone needs to know, not just you. Like, I think everyone needs to know that just damage may take few minutes, but healing takes years.
Yes.
And we should be ready to give time to healing. When we are ready to give time to it, then only that will work for us. It's like
Yes.
when you work for the law will work for you.
Yes. So it's
So
like, for healing that you're saying, it takes time. To be honest, healing, it never stops. It's lifelong.
Exactly. It's lifelong. It's still when you are on your deathbed.
Yes.
And I think it's a lifelong process.
Yes, it is.
And, I think, the concepts like letting go, forgiving, self-healing is not a one-day process. It's a, sojourn to an unknown. The only
Yes.
way I think to make it work for you is to work for it.
Hmm.
So, it was 2 years ago, also during my trip to Mahabaleshwar with my cousin for a marriage. Like, we went for a marriage consortium,
Hmm.
and I had this big discovery about our family patterns. We all know that in a family of 4 members, we have all sorts of genes, right? From
Hmm.
boomers to Gen Z. So, no, we all believe to get ourselves conditioned, with the genes of our father
Hmm.
and mother, and, distinctively from two different generations. Like, our father and mother also are from two different generations.
Hmm.
So, plus our social conditioning of our generation. So, this is like a vicious circle.
Hmm.
But it's not. Like, the first time towards self-healing is to know that we can heal ourselves. And
Exactly.
then
Awareness.
accept,
No, I think
yeah,
before that we need to be aware that what I am in is
exactly.
unhealthy for
Yeah,
me.
exactly. And that's what I was saying, the same point, and then accepting the crude form of us. We
Yes.
have to accept it. That, I think the healing part is started from the fact when you realize that you are actually encompassed in the old toxic patterns, and you
Yes.
realize the root of it, that how it is. And for realizing it, I think our NGO have this slogan which we have discovered, which is learn to sob. Learn to sob is actually not learn to cry, which is to stop, observe, and burnish. So you need to stop, you need to observe yourself, and then you need to improve.
Yes.
So, Mahabaleshwar trip was like a shocker for me. Like all of this sudden, I wasn't uncomfortable with my very idea of my existence. I was able to discern my, murky self, like which was a sort of paranoia. So, I was going off my rocker actually. That was the first acknowledgement of me trying to get out of something which was still unidentified. Like I knew that I wanted to get out of something, but that was unknown. I then, decided to tell my parents that I need to see a therapist, but, I myself became careless to the process. For next 1 year, it was like, it was the most peculiar journey for me. Like I was in constant search of something, and this behavior, I think, seemed to be little weird for my ex-boyfriend and parents.
Oh.
So, it was after my breakup when I resorted to all sorts of, as I said, that all sorts of drugs and physical attachments. And that's when I knew I need healing. So, I plunged myself to different tools like, Reiki healing, counseling, and crystals.
Yes.
And categorically speaking, that it all helped me. But you need to know, I think, and I think we need to know that it only helped me. These all tools like Reiki healing, counseling, and crystals, it only helped me because I accepted the toxic pattern.
Exactly.
Which played as like a devil attack on me for 22 years of my life. And then I learned things like, there were different things like, my parents had their unresolved trauma and they didn't get the opportunity to speak their heart out to their parents as I had. So, speaking to them after a particular period, it's just that I can't blame them for the rest of my life. Instead, I chosen to work with them, considering issues from both the sides. So, I think I realized that your parents have their unresolved trauma.
Exactly.
And,
they're also humans, and that is what what gets passed on.
Exactly. And the biggest mistake we do is to blame anyone for the rest of our life. And I think, that's the time and that's the moment when we should take responsibility for ourselves rather than blaming people. I think it's the part of the process, and, everyone gets into that. But, the moment you realize that, it's not worth it, you should take action for it. I mean, it's okay to blame, but you know what? It's also very important to get awakened and conscious about the fact that at some point, at some certain juncture, you cannot blame people. So that's how when I decided that, I cannot blame my parents. They had their unresolved trauma. And you know what? My parents actually helped me in every possible way to get out of it. So I realized that I was, living in a survival mode, which made me to question every being because of my body, living in a conventional past, which was, incessantly questioning my childhood. So, was like my body was literally living in the past. And I was somehow mentally, my body was in the past in the old toxic patterns, and I am in the present. So, it was whole of a contradictory thing in terms of psychology as well. So I think I was, emotionally dependent, not interdependent on others, but I was, codependent. So, not even codependent, just dependent. So I grasped that my partner cannot be responsible for my happiness. Like, he can be a wheel to me, right? But not the car itself.
Yes.
And that's
I like that analogy. That's a very nice analogy.
Yeah. So, I have immense gratitude for him for helping me to take out the, potentials in me during our 2 years of relationship, which is now, I think, somehow helping me and assisting me in every possible way. And not just this, but as I always used to see a father-like figure in him, after a separation, the gap between me and my father got mystically improved. Like, I think he was surely a Buddha in my life. So I knew I was on the edge to fall, but then something divine peacefully embraced me. And I'm glad to tell you that I haven't touched drugs in 6 months now.
Oh my
And
God,
we are,
that is awesome. Congratulations. I know
thank you
how difficult that
so
journey
much.
is.
Yeah,
I've seen clients struggling,
yeah,
spending years
yeah.
to, get
Uh-huh.
out of
Yeah, right,
to get
right, right.
de-addicted. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think we are leading NGO in Pune, which is primarily working on mental health and drug de-addiction. And I'm also doing multiple diploma courses, like one of them in psychology, as I further want to be a part-time certified counselor.
Okay.
And I'm also working as a content developer in one of the startups, and to enhance my skill as a student. And
Hmm.
something which was a paramount was my breath. So I started, working on my breath, and it's been 6 months. I'm meditating daily for 22 minutes with yoga.
Hmm.
And I think I'm still healing myself, and it's a never ending process
Process.
till you are on your
Exactly.
deathbed, as I said. It's like I never really try to give white heat to concepts like sexual abuse, childhood trauma, survival mode. But all I want to make you all understand that the first step to self heal is knowing the patterns and then relinquishing it.
Yes.
And all I
So,
want to assure you that if I can, then you can. That's
yes.
that's it, I think.
Okay. So let me just put it out in brief for everybody who's listening. So you are saying that awareness that you are in an unhealthy pattern is the
Yeah,
first step. Then
of
after
course.
the awareness, you should have the will to change.
Exactly.
So only when you have the will to change, things or people will come across your path and you will be able
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, it's all very mystic. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yashi, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I'm sure this is going to help a lot of people, and I'm
Yeah.
so, so, so inspired by you. The reason is because it takes a lot of courage, first of all, to,
Hmm.
deal with mental health and then, talk about it openly in this environment that we're living in full of, you know,
That is
uh,
very important. Yeah.
yes, where like, we need mental health awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So your journey, it's wonderful. Congratulations
Thank you so
once
much, Sameer,
again.
for giving me this platform to share this journey so that, other people can get aware and, they can realize that they can get out of it if one
Mm.
can.
Yes,
So,
if
yeah,
that is
thank you
right.
so much for
If
this
you can,
platform.
we all can.
Exactly. If I can, then you can, and everyone can.
Yes. So towards the
Yeah.
end, Yashi, I would like to, wish you luck for the NGO that you're working with.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
guys, check out her NGO page, Emerging Yuvas
Please,
Pune,
please. Yeah.
in on Instagram. So there's a lot of helpful stuff that they're posting. So please go ahead and check it out. And yes,
Yeah.
Yashi, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sameer, and all the best for your
Thank
life
you.
and future endurance.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sameer. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so that's it, folks. I had a lot of fun speaking to Yashi. I think it requires a lot of courage to speak up about your mental health problems, and Yashi is one courageous warrior. Her cheerfulness will never, make you realize what she's struggling with on the inside. And she's doing a wonderful job with Emerging Yuvas Pune, the NGO that she talked about. And yes, so I hope you enjoyed this episode and you got to learn a lot of things, especially things like being grateful and cheerful. So that's it for today. Signing off. Stay tuned for more episodes.